there folks, how's it going? It's your boy STD bringing you another Total Warhammer Freecast. This is actually a game between Khorne and Slaanesh. The Slaanesh player is OrangePest, local resident in our Discord who sent in this replay, and we've got RTK Houseplant playing as the Khorne in this matchup. You can see the builds here. So we've got quite a lot of infantry early on from the Khorne player. Let's see if we've got Pendulum. Well, I think we have to see in game because of some of the replay bugs saying that they've got all the spells. But we'll see when we get in game what's going on. A couple of cultists, but no infantry in the initial army, which I think makes sense because you don't want to take a pitched fight against Khorne initially. Lots of marauders spawn initially coming in for the Khorne, and cultists relying on a herald in the back, not bloodthirsters, so we'll see how this goes. Now generally, I think the consensus in the meta, and this was quite an early match in the meta, so things have obviously come a long way since then. Consensus generally is that Khorne is favoured in this matchup quite significantly. The thing is, you can't really take those pitched fights against Slaanesh, and that causes a lot of problems for them in a game mode like Domination, because you can't really cycle charge very easily. Okay, so both of the cultists coming in on foot makes sense because it just makes them harder targets once they intermingle within the Chaos Warriors. So obviously this blob right here with the Chaos Spawn saturated by the Chaos Warriors, it's a Slaanesh, you have no hope of ever killing this in melee. You send Marauders into this, you're going to get absolutely smashed. They're going to die instantly. They can't hurt the Chaos Warriors because of the armor, and the Chaos Spawn just do huge damage. But the problem is, of course, you can't send big monsters in because it's a unit of 100 halberds, plus the Chaos Spawn will block you. So all you can really do is try and kill it with spells and outmaneuver them. Just try and pick them apart as best as you can. You can use summons to go, like summoned demonettes will be effective against the halberds, and obviously there is actually two cultists here on Steeds of Slaanesh. So yeah, we'll see how this goes. So he should have the two summons available. In fact, let's have a look at this then. So he does. You'd never bring the cultists and not bring the summons. So initially we see Seekers engaging, actually get some nice initial damage against the cultists. Wow. Given that they barely touched him. But yes, you can see obviously Houseplant is going to position himself down in this side and just hold these two VPs. He's conceding the far side here, which is being capped by some very cheap and cheerful Marauders. Seekers coming out on the side, and Seekers going around this edge with some Fiends. Fiends I think are amazing in this matchup, because not only do they give you that AP, they have the soporific musk, reducing melee defense and melee attack, which, you know, it can make your Demonettes fare a lot better against the Chaos Warriors, and it can make Marauders do something. I wouldn't say they fare very well even with it. And this really is the problem with this matchup. Your infantry is Marauders and their infantry is Chaos Warriors, and Marauders just can't do shit against it. But Pendulum could definitely swing things in the favour of good old OrangePest, and that's what he has in game. You see in the replay outside of it, it's just shown all the spells, but when we go in game we see the reality, which is Melkoffs and Pendulum, and also the double Fury summon. Exalted Demonettes of Slaanesh coming out. Now they will absolutely wipe the floor with the Chaos Warriors of Halberds, but saturated by the Chaos Spawn, I don't think that's going to happen. That's the problem. This is why this is a really vicious build from good old Houseplant. Now, ideally what he does is he uses Demonettes and Pendulum to get rid of the Halberds nice and quickly, and then when the spawn are more isolated, he can hit them with Seekers and Hellstriders and get some good damage on them. But obviously Houseplant is aware of this, and that's why he's kind of blobbing everything together. Bringing out some Bloodletters. I'm not entirely sure what the point of the Bloodletters is. Maybe... I mean, I haven't tested it, so I don't know if Bloodletters are better than Berserker Chaos Warriors against Demonettes. Obviously Demonettes ignore armor, so Chaos Warriors don't get that advantage, but Bloodletters still do less damage than Berserker Chaos Warriors do. So I'm not sure, and obviously Demonettes don't have armor, so the armor piercing of the Bloodletters is redundant. It would be good to do some testing of these things actually. Okay, Fleshhounds of Khorne coming out at last. Took quite a long time to get them out. They're needed for some sort of mobility from Khorne. They will win a lot of pitched fights. Okay, so Fiends of Slaanesh are going to engage, and instantly there's a Pendulum, along with a summon of Demoness from the Cultist. Watch the Pendulum do some good damage. Honestly, kind of hit the summon Demoness more than anything else. Don't know what the positioning of these Chaos Warriors was in this instance, but it didn't really go very well for him. There's a lot of carnage here, but there's a lot of summoned units involved in this fight. Spawn of Khorne have got quite low. I mean, the thing is, Houseplant's really outnumbered at this point. What have we got? We've got Fiends, we've got Exalted Demonettes, Cultist, Herald. What's he summoned? He's summoned Bloodletters of his own from the Cultists. More Bloodletters, and then he's moved over an additional Chaos Warrior with Halberd Squad, but they're attacking the Furies, which is a suboptimal engagement for them. Furies actually trade extremely well into Chaos Warriors of Khorne, well, especially Slaanesh Furies, and more of them coming out would be extremely effective. On the far side, do we see any combat? No, there is no engagements here. We see Bloodletters are engaging the Seekers of Slaanesh. They will do amazing damage to them because they have magic damage to get around the armor piercing. These Seekers are kind of trapped in place here, pinned on one side by Chaos Furies of Khorne, which get Frenzy, and trapped on the other side by the Bloodletters. It's not good. I think there's a bit of a mixed micro, really. Orange has not... He's not remembering them. He's got Hellstriders coming in now, but Hellstriders here are engaging small entities by the Fleshhounds, but they're not even engaging them, so this is a bit of a bad charge, to be honest. Exalted Demonettes are routed. What did he get for this trade? So he's significantly weakened this Spawn of Khorne and 2 of the Chaos Warriors, but now a big contingent is moving down. He's going to have to get out of there. Now this... Okay, so he's nearly killed one Cultist of Khorne, and he's injured this one, and he only took a little bit of damage on his Cultist, but I think all of the Cultist summons there of demons have been used up. So Seekers get a good engagement on the Fleshhounds of Khorne here, but it is a forward charge, and you see the power of the Fleshhounds of Khorne right now. Look how well they're doing against the Seekers, man. The Seekers cost way more than the Fleshhounds of Khorne. Obviously the Seekers rely on getting that flank attack, so they get the double charge bonus, and obviously they didn't get it in that instance there. We see more Demoness and Slaanesh and Hellstriders coming in. Hellstriders obviously want to focus on the Spawn of Khorne. Hellstriders running around to assist the Seekers over here with the Fleshhounds. Now Hellstriders... Oh, Hellstriders here only have Hell Scourges, which is not ideal. We have another Pendulum coming in, but honestly it doesn't really hit very flush. And what's going on here? Okay, the hero blob is fighting Fleshhounds of Khorne, and Seekers of Slaanesh get a rear charge, so that's going to do a lot of damage. But the massive blob of Chaos Spawn, Halberds, and Bloodletters is moving over. This is not an engagement they want. They are now getting the Dissipation on the Fleshhounds, so they want to back out this fight as soon as possible, I think. Get some more charge bonuses. What's going on over here? We've got Fleshhounds of Khorne. They've been reinforced by the Chaos Warhounds and Furies, both of which are small, and they're taking out the Hellstriders with Hell Scourges quite easily. Now, Hell Scourges, really, they're best used against things like Furies, small entities, or ranged units, because they don't have the anti-large of normal Hellstriders, but they have slightly better stats. But fighting against all this, it's going to be way too much. Marauders don't really achieve a whole lot. Demonettes are forced off here. Another Pendulum comes down. I mean, this is looking rough for Slaanesh, if I'm honest with you. Now, the good thing for Slaanesh is that their leadership core is retaining a lot of strength. They didn't manage to take out this Cultist, but it doesn't matter that much. The Cultist himself is not really that powerful or competent. You know, he's okay if he's just sat in a blob of Marauders or something, but, you know, he's on his own here. He's used his summon. It's not really a big deal. More reinforcements just coming in, constantly trickling into this fight, but the problem is here, there's a massive defender's advantage for Khorne. He's got 4 units engaging 1 Seeker, and the Seekers are just so ineffective when they're actually attacking units from the front. I'd have liked to have seen more... Pardon me, I didn't even get time to mute that. I'd like to have seen more Marauders sent down here and the Seekers flanking. You know, as useless as Marauders are against Chaos Warriors, they're actually quite effective against Furies and Chaos Warhounds. And obviously it would have got you the devastating flanker with the Seekers, which would have given them a lot more value. I mean, they're trading okay here because most of it's crap units. There's no Fleshhounds of Khorne. Well, there is Fleshhounds, but they're very weak. So they're trading okay, and they're pushing back on this side, but the problem is that it's a 2-to-1 cap for Houseplant. And just with the sheer quantity of Chaos Spawn and Halberds that he's got sat on the points, it's very difficult to see what Slaanesh can do to actually take this on. So we see more Seekers coming in. Got a lot of Seekers in this match. But you see, Seekers give you that armor piercing that you really need. You need mobility and you need armor piercing to take on Khorne. Berserkers coming out over here with their dual weapons. These guys obviously will wipe the floor with any Slaanesh unit 1v1 in pitched combat. Except perhaps Exalted Demonettes, maybe. I'm not sure. Probably would beat Demonettes. That'd be a good test. Game has slowed down again, so maybe there was another spell somewhere. Spell coming down here. Honestly, it looks like it's going to hit the bloody Seekers as much as it hits anything else. I mean, don't get me wrong, that did a lot of damage to the spawn and this Halberd squad, but it's really hurt these Seekers. I think it was actually quite an effective spell cast. Milkos Mystifying Miasma coming down here. I actually really like this one. These guys are extremely low. They're probably going to rout pretty damn soon, but it also stops them actually catching up to all of your units over here, and they can back off. The problem is that he hasn't got enough capping power to actually take this damn point. Warhouse moving up alongside the Berserkers, and now some more Fleshhounds of Khorne, trying to take this point, putting on all the VP pressure, and, you know, Orange is sending some forces to try and screen it. He's got his Marauders with spears here, but ultimately, you know, they're going to flop very quickly to Berserkers, bringing in some more Hellstriders, but they're very dilapidated, just don't have the manpower. I think he's really going to struggle. So Houseplant's sending over some more Chaos Spawn, just to really ensure that he can get this point here. Obviously, he feels no pressure in the mid. Orange is focusing on trying to get down this side. Looks like he hasn't lost any of his leadership core yet. The Cultists of Khorne has disappeared. Notice that no leader has come out at all from the Khorne army so far. Unless I missed it and the Herald's already died, but it doesn't look like it. Chaos Warriors of Halberds are extremely low. They should be routing pretty damn soon, but they're holding on very firm. Got the Fiends in here, Seekers. We've got a flank coming in. What's this on? This is on the Fleshhounds. I'm not sure if the Fleshhounds got the counter charge there. Probably not, given the state of this engagement. Yeah, it looks like they didn't get the charge at all, because you can see how well the Seekers do when they actually get the attack on the Fleshhounds and not the other way around. And that ultimately is what Slaanesh is all about. You've got to get them rear charges, man. More Seekers coming out here, flushing away these Fleshhounds, but you can see that all the weakened Hell Scourges, they're quickly routed, as are the Marauders. And now, unfortunately, this point is going to get captured. And I don't think there's a lot of time. You know, I don't see what Orange could really do at this point in order to get enough VPs, really. So far, what I'm seeing is I'm seeing some Pendulum being used, but honestly, I really don't feel like these were the cleanest Pendulums. I think the problem is that Cavalry was engaging the Halberds, and the way that Cavalry is with its high mass, it sort of pushed the Halberds about so that they weren't in a straight line, so the Pendulum couldn't hit cleanly, and that is definitely a problem. Then again, it looks like he's won a really considerable victory on the left-hand side, and honestly, Houseplant doesn't really have many forces left in the middle. Now he's getting attacked on both sides. Seekers get a beautiful rear charge in there, circumventing the Fleshhounds of Khorne and the spawn of Khorne. This front is going to get absolutely wrecked. More Marauders are coming down to reinforce this point so it can't be captured back. But Houseplant has this area over here with Berserkers defending it. There's barely any VPs left. Like, at this point, Orange has to get a triple cap if he wants to win. He has to. So to that end, he's sending some Seekers over and some Hellstriders with Hell Scourges, but they're going to struggle. They don't have a lot of capping power, and some Chaos Warhounds are going to attack them at the side, nip at their heels. He also isn't even capping this point because there's too much infantry. Infantry have a lot more capping power than cavalry. I don't think he can get it. He had a really good engagement over there on that left-hand side, and it was really nice with the Seekers coming in, but at this point, all the Houseplant has to do is throw infantry onto this point. It doesn't even matter whether they're fighting or not. He just sits on the point, you can't cap it, and he's going to win. Unbelievable. Well, there you go. Yep, that's going to be the game in favour of Khorne. Very hard matchup for Slaanesh. You know, it's interesting because we didn't see any big monsters. So there was no need for the Slaaneshi Soul Grinder, there was no need for Keepers of Secrets. Cycle charging repeatedly, but yeah, that's what it is. We just, this Halberd and Khorne play at Chaos Spawn of Khorne. I wonder if that's still prevalent in the meta. Interesting. Let's have a look at the damage profiles. I think there were definitely some missed micros that we've seen, and it's a known fact that if you want to win a Slaanesh, you're going to have to out-macro your opponent, but, you know, it's one of them situations where if you out-macro your opponent, there's nothing they can do to win. You know what I mean? Like, there's no strategy they can employ to win, they just need to macro better. And that's where you put yourself with Slaanesh. The value from all of these Seekers is absolutely amazing. Fiends did okay, but you see, the thing that you've got to consider with Fiends is that the value of the Soporific Musk doesn't get shown on the numbers here. Just like you don't get the real value of the Cultist because you're not seeing the damage that the Demonettes did. Lots of value on the Herald, but honestly, I feel like given that the Herald didn't die all game, 2,384 is quite little given the amount of pendulums that were thrown around. I feel like pendulums should have done a bit more damage. And just on that front, in terms of getting your pendulums to do more damage, rather than engaging with a cavalry, just engage with one single entity, and then use the pendulum, and then put your summon on top of it. Some of the mistakes that were going on here, and you know, I say it like I'm the best player, I'm obviously not, but it's still an objective mistake, was summoning your summon first, and then hitting it with a pendulum, and your summon, the first Demonettes that got summoned took half their damage instantly from their own pendulum. Not to mention, the cavalry, the fiends hitting in really early, it disrupted the halberds so that you didn't get as clean of a pendulum as possible. Looking at the rest of the units, the Exalted Demonettes got absolutely wrecked. They're Demonettes, they need to be getting in on a flank, and they didn't. They kind of just charged in the front. Normal Demonettes would have been better there. And that is obviously what happened to the normal Demonettes as well. They just charged from the front, and they got wrecked. Seekers here doing great value. These Seekers not really doing so much. One of the Seekers got kind of wrecked in an upfront fight against Fleshhounds. Could very well have been these ones. Marauders obviously not really getting any value, but that is to be expected. Marauders are just here as meat shields, basically, to enable you to get flanks and to capture the points. Looking at the Chaos Force, honestly, the Chaos Spawn did not do anywhere near as good as I thought they would have done. Not a lot of damage value on them, but I guess it's because Slaanesh didn't really fight them in a pitched engagement. They were in and out constantly. Huge value on the cultists, given that this doesn't even include their bloody summons. Getting 1,000 for a foot cultist, amazing. Not a huge amount of value on the halberds. Bloodletters did okay. Halberds did okay. Berserkers did great. I definitely think you want some berserkers. They're just going to mince through Demonettes and basically anything in a pitched fight, so you put them on the points and they're very hard to stop. Fleshhounds did amazing. 100% you want 4 Fleshhounds every time. Nearly in every matchup, I suppose, but yeah, Fleshhounds did great. One thing that I think this Slaanesh build is missing, scrap some of these Marauders, scrap the Hellscourges with whips, because I don't really understand the point of them. What do you want the whip Hellscourges for? Why are you summoning Hellscourges? Like, they beat ranged infantry, which Khorne has none of, or they be non-armoured, small melee infantry, so Furies and Warhounds, but they're not really the threat. The threat is the Fleshhounds, which you want the normal Hellstriders to deal with. But then you can scrap some of these Marauders and you can get Furies, and you 100% want Furies, because these Halberds, they're going to get wrecked by Furies, because Slaanesh Furies actually have armor piercing. On the other hand, the Khorne Furies have Frenzy, so they do better against unarmored targets like other Furies. So Khorne counters the Fury play by getting more Furies himself, and then Khorne can get cycle charges against you, and Chaos Furies of Khorne will absolutely wreck Slaanesh Cavalry. So there you go, that's my assessment of this game. A little game between Slaanesh and Khorne. Thank you for tuning in, folks. That's your boy Torpid, signing out.